in order. It says that the lunar calendar is 11 days shorter than the solar calendar.
Is it hot in here? Can you open that a little bit? You have to get up. The screen is on the shoulder.
11 days shorter. They're
Than a
12
solar
months. Right.
See,
It's like the doctor.
West is on a solar calendar. Go by the sun.
The east is on the moon.
And the east is
Except
on
for the
lunar,
doctor.
meaning the moon.
The doctor's on the lunar calendar.
The who?
He's on the doctors. Like the sister here, pregnant, your sister's pregnant.
Oh.
They did the 10-month calendar. The 10 lunar months is her pregnancy. It's not 9 months, it's 10 lunar months.
So doctors in the West, where the solar,
He knows
where the
that
solar timetable and system is used, they use, especially gynecologists and obstetricians, use a lunar calendar.
the 28-day calendar.
No, in the West they use solar calendar.
That's why you get those 31 odd days. You don't have the 30.
So each month is 11 days shorter?
The year is 11 days. It's 11 days shorter.
Would you close the screen, Elias, so they can see?
Then it says that the Ramadan was to mark.
What month is Ramadan?
It's supposed to be the ninth.
September.
The 9th month.
It's supposed to be
The ninth
the
month.
9th month, but they make a qualification on that too. I believe in the Quran. Right down the screen.
Ramadan
It
changes
changes
every year
Every year.
through the seasons, but it's always the 9th month because the whole calendar moves through the seasons.
Okay, so it's the positions of the month stay the same.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And what are they? Let's name them quickly.
So for now,
Muharram.
Muharram, Shafar.
First 10 days of Muharram is a holiday for the Shiite Muslims. What did I say happens that first 10 days? They beat themselves. Those first 10 days represent days that are set aside to commemorate the murder of his sons, Hassan and Hussein.
Yeah, the first two martyrs.
Ali's two sons.
What is Shiite?
Shiite, Khomeini and all of them. Iran, Iraq, all of them cats. They beat themselves till they bleed. Well, I don't know. January, you see, January stays the same. It always comes at the same time of the year, solar calendar. But a lunar calendar, it shifts through the season. That way, Ramadan is not really a hardship on any one particular people in any one part of the earth. Suppose the people that live in a desert area can't drink anything during the daylight hours every year, all their lives, generation after generation. It'd be a hardship on them. But with the lunar calendar, it just so happens that it moves, it shifts from month to month. So Ramadan it'll end up in the winter for you in one place if you go by the way the Arabs do it. And this another time it'll end up for you in another season, Okay, what are they? Muharram, let's quickly go through. Safar, okay. Rabi 1, Rabi 2.
Jumada 1, Jumada 2,
Okay.
Rajab, Shaban, Ramadan, Shawwal, Quada,
No. Kida. How you
Kida,
spell it?
Ghu,
How you spell it?
Qidah.
Q what? Key what?
DAH.
Kida.
I got a different spelling, but
I got QA.
What do you have?
well, I have DHU, and then dash I,
Yeah, but
dash,
it is. You have what? How do you spell it? DH.
DHU.
DH gives you a Z sound.
I got Z real, and I also got THU.
DH, that's a Z. DH gives you a Z sound.
Okay.
What's the second prayer of the day? Zuhr. But it's spelled with a D.
Zikr.
Little stuff.
Zikr is
Remind you.
Zikr. That's a surah in the Quran.
I remember the brother minister was asking one of the Arab, and they were sitting there, how do you pronounce it? Because he said Dicker, and he said
Zikr.
So it's DH.
Okay, what's the last?
It's still Hajj.
What? Zulhajj. That's when you go. That's the month that you go for Hajj. Now you can go to Mecca any month, but that won't be called a Hajj. That would be called a what? Umrah. Umrah is a lesser pilgrimage or a lesser visit.
Now they have one argument on that. They say if Umrah is made during the month of Ramadan, then
M-R-A-H.
the Arabs will give you this argument. So they'll say if Umrah is made during the month of Ramadan, then according to Sahih, it is El Hajj.
Okay. But you see, that Hajj is during that particular month, and it's so many days, and everything is done just the way the Prophet did it when he took Hajj. So when you go any other time of the year, you're not there when all of the pilgrims are there. You can walk right up to the Black Stone and kiss it. Ain't a whole bunch of people all over the place. But when you go during Hajj season, it's packed. Okay, those are the months. And Ramadan is the 9th. Now, Hajj means the great effort. But it's not all of, we're going to teach on all of this one day. How the real Hajj is not to Mecca. The Hajj to Mecca, the pilgrimage to Mecca is only a sign or a symbol of the real Hajj. We took prayer here. And Brother Cedric called it to our attention, but we didn't face the east. We just, because the real Qibla, you should write that term. Qiblah. Qibla. The real Qibla, it means the direction of prayer. Qibla. The Qibla is what? Mecca, right? We face Mecca, right? That's the direction. Qibla. The Kaaba in Mecca is the Qibla. The Kaaba is the direction. It used to be where? In Jerusalem. We used to face, before when Prophet Muhammad came, the Muslims were facing Jerusalem. No. Well, right next door to the Dome of the Rock, but it was Al-Aqsa.
Al-Aqsa, right.
Al-Aqsa. That's the one the Jews almost destroyed. Right next to the Dome of the Rock. Al-Aqsa Masjid. Used to face Jerusalem and used to pray 3 times a day. Prophet Muhammad added 2 more and changed the Qibla, changed the direction to facing Mecca, where the Kaaba is. And Honorable Elijah Muhammad came and is really changing the direction, you'll see, and it will be the West, Chicago, and he added 2 more prayers, that if you wake up in the middle of the night, that you should say 2 prayers. So Prophet Muhammad changed it from 3 to 5 and changed the direction from Jerusalem to Mecca, and Honorable Elijah Muhammad changed it from 5 to 7 under certain circumstances and conditions, and has told us that the son of Islam, as Muhammad said, will rise in the West. And our Mecca, symbolically, is Chicago.
Which direction does Jerusalem face from Mecca?
I'd have to look at a map. I don't really know. I would say Jerusalem here, Mecca, it's got to be, Mecca is east of Jerusalem. It would have to be. It's got a map in the west.
What is that? Nafil prayer?
What was it you know? From Mecca to Jerusalem.
Some of them, argue with that and say that was prescribed as Nafil.
What was Detroit?
Which means rising at the night. And they had that original.
Oh, Jerusalem is northwest of Mecca. Yes, sir.
Right.
Mecca is east of Jerusalem. Yes, sir.
Brother Minister, the scripture in section 22 says that. It says, it is not righteousness for you to turn your faces toward the east and the west. So is that giving rise to what, to us at that particular, at our particular stage of development?
It says what?
It says it is not righteousness that you turn your face toward the east and the west, but the righteousness is the one who believes in Allah and the last day and the angels.
So the real Qibla is where? The real Qibla is within. It's within. The real Qibla, the real direction is your spiritual
Section 22,
center.
chapter 2, verse, or ayat 177.
Mecca is only a sign. The real muezzin, is not Bilal or the mueddin that calls you to prayer,
Is that man?
calls the azan. The real mueddin is the voice of Allah within that calls out from within you.
Don't pray forever if you don't come on come.
That's another thing, mueddins, those who call the people to prayer. I've got the newspapers in there from them countries that I went to where the mueddins were angry. They don't pay them nothing. Because Bilal was a mueddin, they make a lot of the mueddins black. And they have to sleep in a little old room in the little old hole in the masjid and barely eat, and they don't pay them hardly no money and treat them like slaves.
And they call it so beautiful.
And I've got the newspaper clippings on all of it.
You can hear it all.
Now, so we got that. Now let's cover, one thing I want to cover before we go to Ramadan. We covered the Battle of Badr. We covered the Battle of Uhud. I kept asking you about the Battle of the Trenches. Nobody talked about the Battle of the Trenches. The Battle of the Trenches is most important to us because it represents something that's going to happen.
They dug in.
We dig ourselves in around him.
They dug in.
What's the key point
The
dealing
key,
with the Battle of the Trenches?
the key point is they had the water.
Brother Tim, will you look on the nightstand next to my bed, please, and bring me the
One of the key
book on Khallid, and it deals with the Battle of the Trenches.
about the water.
The Allies, that's the battle where they formed. All of the Allies got together. The Jews and all of Muhammad's enemies came together, and they agreed that he was their common enemy, and they all came to attack Medina. And the Muslims dug a wide trench all around the area. And though they were greatly outnumbered, the trench all around it helped them in their fight.
And they also had
But
the
the
water.
key point is that Wallace and Silas are beginning to talk now. I don't know where. I know where it is.
Another thing
It's
too,
not in there.
was around
It's not in this in the car.
Muslims had all
Sir?
the water.
What's the name
They
of
had
that
the
battle?
water.
The Battle of the Trenches.
That's the name of it?
All the enemy was out there. And no water.
The Battle of the Trenches. And you can study some more about it in the chapter in the Holy Quran called the Allies.
Where was
You
it
can call it the Battle of the Allies and put in parentheses the Battle of the Trenches. No.
Where was it
What did I just say it was for? I said they built the trench, they dug the trench around Medina. Right. The enemies came to attack them, marched on Medina. All of our enemies are going to join together against the messenger's program. Hamza got his group in New York. He invited Silas, Wallace, and several other hypocrites to come to a banquet he was having in New York. Now Silas is beginning to say that the minister is the leader of the hypocrites and the disbelievers. I got the flyer that his people were passing out in one other city. And that Wallace is not the chief hypocrite. Wallace is the Christ. He's Jesus. So that means Silas is trying to get close.
That's in that last
They, for what they call it?
Because they knew they couldn't.
Federation.
Oh, was that with Harriet Muhammad on the cover?
That's it.
And the
I
last
didn't
one.
read
Yes,
that.
sir. All right, we got that. We got
You
it.
should read every one that come out. How you going to keep up with them?
That's it.
Next thing we haven't done, I keep saying it, but see, I like officers around me that when you just say something, they automatically move to make it happen. Or they come up with the suggestion. Every Juma prayer, we should be there. One of our people should be at the masjid for every Juma prayer. Or at least every 2 or 3. How you going to know what they saying? What they planning if you ain't there?
Friday
Or
at 1 o'clock, 12:30.
about 12:30. You can call 233-7274. I still remember the number.
Right now it's 1 o'clock.
And find out what time Juma prayer.
That's
Don't
the first
go-
one. Wallace?
That's Wallace's.
Don't go bow tie and all that.
No, don't go in the boat.
Be disguised.
You don't have to go looking like no straight out Negro. But don't wear no bow tie. Just be neat. Just go.
Brother Minister, what is Juma prayer? I've heard Brother Minister speak of it before. Is it that particular prayer that's prayed on Friday? That just
Friday
means
is-
referred to Friday
It's
prayer.
congregational prayer. comes from the Arabic root ummah, which means community. Now, so we should be in all these camps. Ain't nobody been to Bilal's meeting yet over on Van Ness to see what he teaching on Sundays. Ain't nobody been to Son of Man's meeting on the corner of 54th and Broadway. He got a stucco, nice building. That crazy flag up there with the double crescents. Building looks nice. He got it laid out.
Addresses.
54th and Broadway is the Son of Man. Temple, Muhammad's temple of the New Islam.
And then the other one.
Bilal
He
is
got
on
him white
Van
man
Ness.
crazy,
I
trying
don't know
to keep it
exactly
all
what
this.
his address is on Van Ness.
I heard one of his tapes.
Crenshaw's
we go-
Bilalians. That's your man, Crenshaw. That's your man, Jordan.
Jordan, my minister. That was my minister. I soldiered under him, Pasadena.
Yeah, I think that's him.
Yeah.
Is he Son of Man now?
Used to talk like that.
No, he's got
just
broke
off from.
He's a Bilalian that got his own place.
Yes.
Yeah, he's the last minister.
Okay, now where were we?
Pasadena.
Okay, so that's basically the Battle of the Trenches. I just wanted you to be aware of it, that the Allies, all of the enemies, the Jews were spearheading it. All of the enemies formed a federation or an alliance with each other to come against Muhammad and his followers. We are going to have to go through that history.
If I go to Silas camp, if I go to Deleli's
Don't
camp,
go to any of them unless I know before anybody go.
All right.
Because there's some people I want to go to some, and some I would prefer going to others.
yes, sir. I've already talked with my ex-minister. Jordan, they wanted me to come. But I was just wondering if I go there, do I pray as they pray? I'm Muslim. I just didn't want to be out of
You and
order.
Sister Rose should go together.
Yes, sir.
And just don't get into no debates, no arguments.
No, sir.
It's just you. Let them wonder why you really there. Wonder, and then they'll start thinking, we can recruit them.
You believe they
Don't know what they want to do. We can recruit them.
They got their people in
Yes,
army.
sir. I was securing permission before we.
What about that brother who has just come into the ranks of the...
Yeah.
I
Why you let him stand in the ranks and...
knew who he was from the
He was out
beginning.
in a push in San Bernardino. He was in the ranks on Sunday, all out of order, wasn't ready. And you saw he's from Silas or from somebody's camp. So how could you let him stand in the ranks of the FOI?
I told the minister, remember, you know the brother I'm talking about with the black suit on? We were talking about
The star and crescent on
You
his
know what
coat.
you're talking about?
The star and crescent on his coat.
Right.
With the star and crescent on his coat.
Lieutenant has, I talked to the brother, and he stood in the ranks of Muhammad once before. He came there as soon as he got out of prison, which is not too long ago. It's about two.
Is that the same brother we jammed in the office?
Jammed in the office. He came out of prison. He went and analyzed
That is Silas's man,
Silas's
brother.
camp.
He ain't.
And he went to some other camps.
Well, he can stay if he silences man.
He did go away for a time, and when he
Fine.
came back, the same first night he came back, I told him that it seems like most likely that you've been over at Silas's, and either you're coming back to either spy for them, or you dissatisfied and you come back to find out some more about what's going on over here. But whichever one it is, you've most definitely been under watch. And he's been under watch every time he's put on a post. The lieutenant knows about it. Every officer knows about it.
We don't put him on any high security post. But if he want to stay around there with other things,
That'd be a cold post having at the
we ain't got no secret.
It's safe now.
We ain't gonna put him in no place where somebody can walk in with a gun,
Yeah, I can
come past him.
Something about him, they got to look.
But if
for
he
him.
is, I don't
care
know
what
if
they
he's
put
the
on.
same brother now. But if he's the same brother we jammed in the office that day, they didn't want him either.
He said he
Because every brother we had, he had gotten into arguments with him, and they called him a troublemaker because he was arguing with them over that foolishness that Silas was teaching. When we took him to Silas's camp, and different people that some dug him and some didn't dig him. He had a lot of problems in Silas's house.
He said that was one of the reasons that he left the first time, because he was jammed so hard.
That'd be the best way to come.
Yeah, we
looking like
jammed
you
him
have.
hard.
He said imagine that he felt as though, people really didn't want him around, so he stood away for a while.
Well, the brother, he stood up. He was out there in a push with us out in San Bernardino. And he was a little shaky. So whoever Silas is teaching, he's not teaching them to have enough fortitude to stand up to the
But some people just not going to have no fortitude to stand in nobody's camp. They'll be wishy-washy whichever way it
That's
goes.
true.
They be playing both ends against the middle.
I saw one brother that we had, and he was at the Scottish Rite when I recorded that crime prevention. Did you let us make a copy for you?
What about him? He's with Silas now?
No, he's with Wallace now. It was one of the brothers we had in our ranks. I mean, I'm just saying, I have seen brothers,
Okay, now Ramadan, let's cover that briefly. What history do we have on Ramadan? What's the purpose? What does Ramadan mean?
Spiritual refreshment.
No. Ramadan.
Abstinence from meat.
Ramadan.
No, it's marks the beginning of.
What does the term mean?
Fast.
Ramadan.
It means month of excessive. Well, that's the only thing I got from the term was month of excessive heat.
Has to do with fire, burning.
Yes, I think the Quran gives a scripture in for
Fire,
Ramadan
burning,
means
heat.
don't eat.
Now, the spiritual meaning behind that is that while you're going through all of this, it's supposed to burn. It's meaning, not hurt. It's supposed to purge. It's supposed to purge your soul, purge your spirit, your makeup. Burn out the impurities. Burn out and ferret out the negatives and reroot or root and establish firmly the positive spiritual, the positive spiritual principles in your spiritual makeup. To purge and burn from you.
Since the month that the Quran was first revealed.
That's correct. First revelation that Prophet Muhammad received came during the month of Ramadan. I think the last revelation too. Didn't the last revelation come during Ramadan?
I didn't read that.
In the first part of the book it talks about. Sure like to find one of them fancy. I want to give Carol a gift of a Quran. I hate to just give her this one. They don't make them like Brother Lester got. That pretty like leather cover on it and the gold leaf around it. Onion skin paper. Man, they be hard. You can't find them.
Yeah, 2 and 85 in the Quran speaks of Ramadan. That's one of the scriptures on Ramadan.
Okay, let's keep moving. The month that the Holy Quran, the beginning revelations of the Holy Quran were revealed. The whole Holy Quran wasn't revealed in 1 month. How many years did it take? 23 years. Over a period of 23 years, all of the different revelations came to complete the Quran. But the first and initial revelations of Quran came during the month of Ramadan, around the between the 25th and the 27th, right? They call it the night of power.
25th, 27th, and 29th, I think.
But around the 27th. Call it the night of power. When you get a chance. Not sure we need to study and put a question mark behind it as to know next week as to whether he got the last revelation during Ramadan too. Now, what are the practices? Quickly, let's everybody participate. Let's be an enthusiastic group.
Fasting sunrise to sunset.
Abstaining from meat.
Okay, then that's not
a part of it.
It's not a fast because he says a fast must be 24 hours.
Right.
We can call it a fast technically, but but the messenger said fast must be 24 hours. And it's not really 24 hours, it's 12 hours.
That's right.
So it's lightweight for us.
But for
Muslims
Caucasian,
under
they
the
eat 3
Elijah
times a
Muhammad,
day.
we 1 meal a day. So we on Ramadan every day,
That's right.
eating once every 24
But the
hours
only thing is that the time is moved up. Like, well, no.
during the daylight
Now
hour.
it is. But now the time has changed, so it gets darker early.
Yeah, the messenger said the best time to eat is between 4 and 6. That's the best time if you can manage that.
Prayer.
Now, in the Eastern world, I don't like to say Orthodox because that's supposed to be Greek or Latin, which means right. And anytime you say Orthodox, when the devil say the Orthodox Muslims, he is inferring that they are right and we are wrong. An Orthodox way means the right way. That means anything that ain't that is unorthodox. See, he's a slick beast. So I always say the Eastern Muslims or something like that. Or the Sunni Muslims. Now, they can eat meat during Ramadan. But the messenger gave us a special stipulation. I don't want to say stipulation. He gave us a special provision during Ramadan, and that is that we would abstain from meat. He's trying to wean us off of meat. Once a year for 30 days, he'd take us off, weaning us on down. So we don't eat any meat during Ramadan. You can eat fish. Sisters need to get getting them recipes together now. Where they make fish chili, fish soup, fish chowder, fish sausage. Make some good fish sausage. Make fish sausage like pan sausage. Then they make fish sausage into long links. Barbecue fish sausage.
Yes, sir.
Tastes just like sausage.
That's right.
Fish karate. Yeah, that was his own concoction. What's it, Brother Jesse? Come up on soundbar.
Yep, relatives.
All of the fish dishes we can make, fish steaks, and everything else you can eat, vegetables and fruits, that kind of thing, but no meat.
That's right.
We do not eat nor drink anything during the daylight hours. From sunrise to sunset, we do not eat nor drink anything. As they say.
If you want to wash your mouth out,
I would wash my mouth out if you think you need to.
Just don't swallow, right?
I wouldn't swallow the water.
They used to say
But there's
you
some
brush your teeth.
silly Muslims from other countries that don't even swallow salat. Fools go around spitting. Reverend Reed said he was in Liberia with some Muslims or Senegal somewhere. Reverend Reed said these fools spit all day long. And he was asking me about, he's going on Ramadan with us, and he was asking me about it. I say, brother, that's foolish. You look like a fool going around spitting all day long. Talking about the Holy Prophet didn't swallow anything.
What if you go to Africa? You don't need close quarters for it.
What about spitting?
Yeah.
I don't know what
Probably
fools
just
do.
give them some
Fools, this is crazy extreme. All of the things that you got to do, you got to brush your teeth, you got to have all your hygiene and all that up. You got to do that. Just don't be drinking stuff and all of that. And we used to put cloves in our mouth because we wouldn't start our digestive tract completely. Anything you put in your mouth triggers the digestive tract. But we didn't deal with mints or anything. During Ramadan, we especially kept cloves with us to freshen the breath. Do not eat or drink anything during the daylight hours, and there is no what the messenger calls affairs of the heart during the day. No love making during the day of the intercourse nature. I guess no love.
Pure talk.
Now these are the three main drives. Make sure you make a note of this. These are the three main drives that keep man on the planet. You are learning self-mastery during the month of Ramadan. How to master self. How to bend the lower desires under control of the higher self. The lower self in complete control under the higher self. Self-mastery, self-control. If you can say no to food, which keeps you on the earth. If you can say no to water, which keeps you on the earth. If you can say no to sex, which reproduces and procreates you and keeps you on the earth. If you can say no to those three of the strongest drives and tell them no until you get ready. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said you can say no to anything else that you want to. If you can control them three, you can control anything else. So that disciplines you from controlling self, mastering every atom of yourself. It's an exercise in self-mastery. If you can say no, again, to those three main drives that keep you on the earth, certainly you can say no to a cigarette, which don't keep you here. You can say no to a joint. You can say no to a shirt. You can say no to a drink. You can say no to anything that is against God's divine and universal and natural laws.
Okay, what about the Quran?
We will have a breakdown and we will read 1/30th of the Quran each day. So that at the end of the 30 days we will have read the entire Holy Quran.
30.
It's because it's 30 days. So by the end of the month you will have read the whole Quran. And you study other things, try to make your prayers as near as you can on time. If the work won't permit that, then you try to make up for those prayers. You try to spend that month in strict spiritual development. And you should increase your knowledge and study other important things to our spiritual development and our history and our heritage and our culture as a people that will lead to our freedom and independence and will make us stronger.
It might be good to add. Reason why that's when they had us fast in December was to drive out of us the habit of worshiping the 25th of December as
Christmas.
Jesus' birthday and celebrating Christmas. And
That was my next point.
They used to add as another note of precaution is like during the daylight hours, don't too much listen to the radio and things because they would have so much Christmas celebration and stuff like that that it would drag you into the spirit of it.
That's true. But you don't have to, that was a controversy in many cities. You can listen to it. Don't get that extreme because you got to know what's going on. Just don't, some of us just finger pop and got to have the radio on when we get up, radio while we're riding in the car, and we jamming, So you can listen to news and listen to different things, but don't get caught. Ramadan is a month to get away from extremes and excesses. So with moderation and temperance to keep up with the tempo of the time and don't be 30 days behind at the end of, when the end of the 30 days are up. It also helps physically to cleanse the body. Now, I'm going to recommend that all of us who can, see a doctor during Ramadan, something we didn't used to do. But see a doctor during Ramadan and get the doctor's advice on taking a colonic to clean your colon out. You have to go 3 or 4 times, and they actually clean the whole colon out. Some food has been trapped in our colon for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And it's formed a black, hard crust, hard in the colon. Only a little food gets through and gets out and we use the bathroom. We think we really had a good bowel movement. but some of it stays, and it's just crushed like a hard crust. You would have to chisel it with a knife or pick if you could cut it open and dig at it. So a colonic has certain herbs in it and certain temperature of warm water. It's different from an enema, because an enema only goes so far and cleans and stops. But the colonic covers all the way up in the tubes, all up in there, and flushes it all out. And then it gives you certain herbs to take that will help you. Maintain good health and improve your health. Now, it's good to have a colonic during Ramadan because of the reason I said, because you're going through a cleansing process during that month also. And when the body is not cleaned out and you're on a fast or a semi-fast, it begins to feed on the poison that's built up in the body. So you're doing yourself good by fasting and harm by the body feeding on that poison that's trapped in. You're not taking in any new poison, and it's just feeding on the poison that's there. So a colonic would be good to get all of that out of the system. And at the end of that 30 days, you keep up a good diet and follow that how to eat to live. And keep checking with your doctor. Some chiropractors give colonics.
That's where you probably get the best.
Some
Medical doctors are really not.
They're into natural medicine and preventive medicine.
Geared toward that.
Some herbalists. Yes, sir.
What's the nation's position on it, unless you such mention?
Well, it's up to the individual. We can take it, but it's not as effective as a colonic, because it doesn't, as far as I know, you can, but it doesn't cover as much area. It could clean up to a point, then you got a crusted area in them, all of them lined feet of intestines and stomach. Yes.
Would you be recommending a medical doctor's school?
I don't know one now, but maybe Sister Rose and I both could look around for a good herbalist or a good chiropractor. I think Dr. Garrett, who's is a brother and a close friend of our attorney, Checo Bubakari. He's serious about it. He's a chiropractor. He's serious about his practice. And his brother is training with him. His brother is serious in school. He's serious about it. And they believe in good preventive medicine.
That's right.
And I'll check with him and see if they do colonics. I'm sure they do. He would probably be good to give us our colonics.
What Brother Minister is talking about, colonic is different than an enema in as much as you just don't do it regularly. Enemas, you don't necessarily, once you've gotten your diet straightened out and you've got your system intact, you've got the regulation going on with your body, you don't have to take them because an enema does compromise your tone, your intestine. The colonic is different. It acts in a different way than taking a regular enema. So what you have is an exchange. The solution will actually just cause a shift in the particle. There'll probably be a concentration of low hypertonicity, and then you shift all this stuff right around. It happened to me, Brother Minister. When I first started, I stopped smoking right away. I mean, just right away. I got just as sick as I could be, and when I threw up, stuff just it was like something that went down in me. I said, "Who is this down in there?"
Please don't sound like me.
It was terrible. So I know what you're talking about.
Just like you want to speak to me?
No, so you must be
so that's something else we will explore.
What's the doctor's name, brother?
Dr.
Garrett.
What's Garrett's name? Curtis Garrett. Is that his name? I'm not sure. I think so. Oh, Brother Lieutenant, give us his number. But we'll have Sister Rose to check with her. Tell her that Attorney Checo Bubakari recommended it. He knows Dr. Rashidin. What else? Now, I want to cover all the health things. benefit to the body and the benefit to our spiritual makeup. And as Brother Curtis is saying, that's right?
All right.
Okay. We're saying the messenger has us observing Ramadan every year in December. We don't observe it with the others. We observe it because of our unique situation and predicament and condition in America. As we were saying earlier, when a divine messenger or prophet from God comes, he has to come with a prescription for the particular illness that the people have in his time. So, December is the month of a false holiday. It has nothing to do with the great and righteous prophet Jesus at all. Nothing about his birthday. And it's the month in the name of Jesus where the worst things out of the whole year go on in the name of Jesus. People who never took a drink before, never got high, they all get high and drink during the month of Christmas. They say, it's Christmas, honey. I say, why are you doing it? They say, it's Christmas. And they party. Our people, poor people, spend all their money and get in debt for 2 and 3 and 4 years. And still in debt from the last Christmas and the last Christmas. And the devil put a lot of faulty merchandise and material out there. And you go in some of the stores, we'll probably do a tour or something during Christmas. We may do a tour. You go in there and you'll see that some of the big department stores like May Company, we buy everything off the shelves. The shelves be empty. The devil just be grinning. And the Jew pushes Christmas and don't even believe in Jesus. And Christmas is supposed to mean a mass, a gathering of people coming together for not the worship, but the commemoration of Christ. That's what it's supposed to mean. Mass. It may put this show. A mass of people coming together for that purpose. But that's not what happens during that moment.
That's what the messenger was writing on the significance of why the Arabs, they fasted in the 9th month. And also where he said we are into that by him changing it to December.
Is this how to eat to live?
Yes, sir.
Everybody have a how to eat to live? We all read how to eat to live in preparation for today, right? Let's go back over 2 and 3 times and memorize everything and have all of the fine points down.
I took it from each one and 2 on the whole subject, and I coordinated it if you wanted to make a copy just for the purpose of Ramadan.
Be good if we could either use that and see if we can find an old Muhammad Speaks with something on Ramadan and get it quickly and get it in the hands of all the believers. Now we're also for Thanksgiving. You ain't gonna eat no turkey in the date, and you ain't gonna eat no turkey this Thanksgiving, Jim. We're going on a 3-day unity fast. The whole nation is going on a 3-day unity fast. We're fasting. You fast for a purpose, and we're fasting for the success of the rebuilding of the nation, of the success in the rebuilding of the nation of Islam, and the work and the mission of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the success of Savior's Day, February 26th is Savior's Day, but we'll be observing it the closest Sunday to February 26th will be the 22nd. So we're fasting for success, for divine success and Allah's blessing. The minister will tell us, but he's getting us a letter in the mail. But it will be 3 days. That's Thanksgiving Eve, I guess. Thanksgiving and the day after Thanksgiving. It may be the day before Eve and Thanksgiving. I have to find out. But I know it's at least Thanksgiving Eve and Thanksgiving. Getting us ready for December. All right, then we have anything? We had the prayer, positions of prayer. We won't cover that tonight. I want us to have a pretty good knowledge of the basics of Ramadan and to go back over the messenger and study him and how to live. We should know all about him. This class should prepare the material that will be distributed within the next few days to the rest of the believers on Ramadan so that they can begin to prepare. Anything else you think we need to cover? Let's make next week's assignment. Next week's assignment, we pick up with the prayer, why the Eastern world prays the way they do, the positions of prayer. You got to do some good research on it. Name the positions of prayer. And let us go into the significance of those positions if we can. Our other assignment will be the 5 principles of Islam. Name the 5 principles of Islam. Learn them and their significance. Definition and meaning, or the definition or meaning of the term shahada. S-H-I-H-A-D-A-H. Shahada. I'm sorry. Shahada.
S-H-A.
S-H-A. Instead of S-H-I. I said S-H-I. It's S-H-A. Shahada.
D-R-A-T.
S-H-A-H-A-D-A-H. Some say D-A. Shahada. The ritual of Hajj. The basic elements of Hajj. Its purpose, its meaning, how many days, and what has to be done on each day during Hajj. Don't get all this. She's owned by him, right? Mm-hmm. Now, when you marry her, your marrying her don't change her status, does it? She still belongs to him, don't she? Right? Now, if you want her, you gotta buy her freedom. Don't you? If she ain't gonna be no slave no more. Otherwise, she'll be your wife and still a slave.
Okay.
What do you mean as far as purchase?
I mean, she's a... No, I ain't talking about the dowry. Dowry is different. A dowry goes to your wife. I mean, the sister you're getting ready to marry. You give her something of value. Generally something that would help secure her in life. It could be money, it could be insurance policy, life policy or something that would protect her in the event that some misfortune might happen to you. Or if you don't have anything like that, it can be something of value that's not material. That's what a dowry is, where you give your wife something before the marriage. She can share it with you if she wants to, or she can keep it completely. She's not allowed to. That's a dowry. But it said here, what Sister Virginia was reading, it said that if you can't find a free woman that's a Muslim to marry, say don't worry about it. It says marry. What's that? Believing, that means a Muslim. All right. If you can't find I was just making it simple. If you can't find a Muslim woman to marry, a believing woman, don't worry about it. If you can find a slave that's a Muslim believing, and you could be a slave and be a Muslim, because Bilal was Muslim and he was a slave, and there were other Muslims who were slaves. Say, then marry the slave that's a Muslim. But go and ask her master, can you marry her? So the master said, yeah, you can marry her. All right, now you marry her. She's now your wife. You give her the dowry that you're going to give her. Maybe the dowry will be big enough for her to buy her freedom. I'm just saying you got to buy her freedom before she's yours completely. Because it said you had to ask her master for permission. Did you hear that?
That's right.
Read that again, Sister.
So marry them with the permission of their masters. Give them their dowry justly, and they believe being chaste, not fornicating.
Hold 1 second. It's saying don't mess over them just because they slave. Give her her dowry too. Don't say, well, she's a slave anyway. I ain't got to give her nothing. She ought to be glad I married her. It says, even though she's a slave, ask her master who owns her, can you marry her? And then do by her what you would do by the free woman if you were marrying her. That's a Muslim.
Well, the one who marries her, wouldn't he be fulfilling that part of the Quran where they say take the uphill road by freeing a slave? Because
because I married her, I can't free her.
Well, see, before he have to ask the permission to marry her, because I mean, just out of common sense, what man is gonna marry a woman and she's still a slave, and you know they may be in the household and the master call her out, and she got to go.
It's just like a job. She may tend the camels. She may do certain. It's a job. Because it said as long as she's chaste, it doesn't mean that because she's a slave that he would have to be misusing her sexually. It goes on to say, make sure that when you ask for her from the master, it goes on to say if she's chaste and she's not having, fornicated and she ain't got nobody calling on her as visiting her and seeing her. It covered all of that, what you said.
But I mean, even if two believing people got married, especially with a daughter, it's always tradition and customary that they ask the hand, even in the marriage ceremony itself. They ask the hand from like the father or whoever is in charge of that woman at that time. They're asking permission to take her from that household. And then this is where the father sits down with him and he want to know, what kind of dowry he got, what can he put up for the woman, even whether she a slave or not. This has been always a thing before they take on the wife. The father want to look at, how many camels he got to put up for. And
that's the Arab tradition.
This is when the Quran was revealed, wasn't it set according to the circumstance?
They were doing that already.
But I mean, don't they say that they send messengers to people according to the people that they're in, so they can deal with them according to their situation,
according to the specific illness that they have at that particular time.
This is like the same illness that we had during slavery too, because the verse before that says about women who are, this is a chapter on the women who you're forbidden to marry, and it says that all women who are already married except those women who are on your right hand. Okay, so if they're slave women and they're married to a man, that means that the master can go in and have that slave woman?
It means that,
like the master did us when we were in slavery?
It says except those who your right hand possess. That means that if you take captive 20 men and 20 women and they're married to each other, it said that you can ignore the fact that they're married. That's what the Quran is saying.
That's what they did to us here.
That you can ignore the fact that they're married, and that you can, because that's your enemy, and you can take his wife.
But isn't there also one? That's what you possess with your right hand. Even for everything that's done, there's a set procedure. That's what the Quran does. It just lays out the law as to what you can do and what you can't do. Okay. You possess one by through warfare, whatever you do with them, you have to go through a set procedure. It says as if you want to marry them.
But does that make it right?
But it allows it to be done. It just told you could do it.
According to the situation, that's one interpretation. If a man captures, through his warfare, women, there's his property by his right hand. But if he wanted to marry you in his own property,
but it's a normal procedure. But I'm just saying he can ignore her previous marriage to his enemy.
Right.
That's the procedure. And he can marry her, the Quran said.
So let me get an understanding here. So it is all right to, and it has been done, to capture slaves or people and bring them into slavery through a war. Okay? There's no qualms with that. You would not be in the wrong for taking your enemy once you have one war, right? There's nothing wrong with that, right?
According to the Quran, there isn't. But my question is, when did they fight Ethiopia?
That's right.
When did they fight us? They didn't fight us. Why did they take us slaves? We didn't fight them.
Well, I would like to.
So how did Belial get there?
They got a verse here on war about taking slaves while you fight.
Okay.
This comes out of chapter 47, verse 4. It says, so when you meet in battle, those who disbelieve smite the necks. Then, when you have overcome them, make them prisoners, and afterwards set them free as a favor or for ransom till the war lay down its burden. That shall be so.
Wait a minute, son. Double talk there. Do that again. Now that part where it say, take them captive, set them free. What did it say?
Okay, it say, when you have overcome them, make them prisoners.
Okay.
And afterwards, set them free as a favor or for a ransom till the war lays down its burden. See, it's because of the account that war is on right now, and you have captured them. Well, it's not to your advantage to let them go where they can still make war.
I said let them go.
But I'm saying after
the war is over with.
It says,
Speaking of is the ransom. Get ransom.
Like Iran is holding
the American
white folks.
Get ransom or let them go if they become a burden because you got to feed all those people.
it say till the war lay down its burden. This is just the procedure until the war itself, cease.
Okay, we understand that. We know that you can do your enemy that way. Now, the question is, we must have been their enemy. We must have been their enemy whether we fought them or not. They put us in slavery. That's Dr. Chancellor Williams' that's the main theme and thesis of Dr. Chancellor Williams' book, is that the Arabs were nothing but a horde in the name, using the good name of Muhammad. They were nothing but a horde of slave makers. They swept through Africa and made us slaves all over the country.
Push it down in the
Just want to get back to this footnote on chapter 90. Footnote number 2739. Just what you're
Let's
saying.
write that footnote, 2739. Just write FN 2739.
And it says that, well, I'll just start with it, say prejudice writers. So yet prejudice writers think it's not for not taking any steps to uproot slavery. There is even a suggestion that such precepts regarding the nobility of liberating slaves as exists in the Jamaican chapters were abrogated by later revelation. A prosperous statement view of the plain directions given in chapter 9, ayat 60, the latest revelation, to the state itself to spend a part of the public funds in purchasing the freedom of slaves. I just want to say that the state is in a habit of using public funds to purchase the freedom of slaves. That's almost as legitimizing the practice of slavery. Because as long as there's going to be an open market for slaves,
Purchasing freedom.
But I'm the
that's
state,
not the
man.
point.
It was
I ain't got to
legitimate.
buy no slaves. I'm the state. All I got to do is bring my army and say, look, this is the law from here on out. Ain't no slaves.
Right.
That's the state.
That's right. It's condoning slavery.
But I buy one here and buy one there,
Set
and
them free.
buy another one here. What is that? I'm the state. I ain't got to do that.
It was,
Kind of hypocritical.
right, it was totally.
I hope you're not offended by the way I do things. I always try to break them down to the simplest,
Right.
so we see it, and really understand it. Then we can deal with it up there.
And the way the Arabs really legitimize it is they'll come behind it and they will say, yes, it was okay to have slavery, brother, but in that time you must treat the slave the same way I would treat myself. So if I buy new thobe, I buy my slave new thobe. So we walk together and we look alike. You can't tell the difference.
Now let me tell you something.
Madness.
Everywhere I went, I'm telling you as Allah is my witness right now.
That's right.
Everywhere I went, they treat black people like dogs. I mean, the Muslims treat black people like dogs.
That's it.
I went to South Africa. These supposed to be Muslims from Asia, Indians from India, Pakistan and stuff. They all down in the Caribbean, they all throughout Africa. Some of their butts were the ones that President Amin ran out of Uganda. In Uganda, I'll start there. In Uganda, them Asian Muslims and Hindus, Asian Muslims and Hindus from Pakistan and India, they were treating black people in Uganda like dogs.
That's right.
They live in beautiful mansions, and our people live in a one-room shack in the back with 6 babies.
That's right.
That's right.
That's
Barefoot, begging on the streets,
Solid.
half naked, hungry all the time. And President Amin came in, and the Muslims from Pakistan and India pray every day, beautiful mosque all over Uganda, pray all day long and everything, read the Quran all the time. And they took all our land, took all of the businesses, took the factories, took everything we had in Uganda. President Amin rose up, and then when he came into power, he gave them a choice. He said, you can stay here in Uganda and become Ugandan citizens, but no foreigner can own anything in Uganda. You can work in the places, but you can't own nothing here. They said, that's crazy. All this is ours. He said, look, you got 72 hours to get it together. They didn't get it together. He sent the Ugandan police. They kicked them crooked Asian Muslims' butt in the streets, took their little belongings and stacked them on the sidewalk, put them in trucks and buses, and took their butt to the Entebbe airport and flew their butts out of Uganda. Then they went and round up all the Jews that took over part of Uganda. Then Amin took the Ugandan army, round up all the Jews, put their butts on buses and trucks, took them to the Entebbe airport and sent them to catch an El Al airline to go back to Israel. I mean, he was tough.
That's right.
But, then he turned around and gave the businesses to the black people. That's why the economy was in trouble at first. Here, people ain't run nothing in years. Some of them ain't never run nothing in their life. They just little flunkies and doing errands for the Jews and the Asians. And then they had to take over the factories. They've been working in the factory, but never had to run. And then America cut them off, England cut them off, Israel cut them off, so the shelves were bad. They couldn't get certain things that governments that were cooperating with the enemy and the oppressor wouldn't cooperate with his new revolutionary government. So then he went to the land. He had the people start a new farming program and start putting them out of them cities. Made them leave Jinja, get out of Kampala, and go on the land. He's becoming independent. Now, that's the way. Then he turned the big, fabulous homes over to the people who live in the shacks. 2 and 3 families would move into them big mansions. We go and visit them. And I went 2 years in a row. We go and visit them. They walk around in them big old houses. They didn't used to do nothing but scrub the floors and clean the toilet. Now they live in the big old house. These Muslims had special resorts. And the English and the Jews had special resorts where our people could only come in and clean up and get the hell out of there. He turned those special resorts into public parks. Well, we were there at a gig where they called in neighboring nations from around Uganda. Everybody partied all day and half of the night in the new place that they used to couldn't even go on the land. Then I was in South Africa. I stayed. Mahasan and I stayed. We were the guests of the Indians. Because the Indians are from Asia, Pakistan. They the real strong Muslims anywhere in Africa, in those countries like South Africa and like that. So they have fabulous houses, big as this building.
I know
they exploit our people. Our people work for them. They treat them like dogs on their business. Our people stink. Our people can't. I was the first black person ever to sleep in these people's. They pretend to met me at Mecca, and they pretend to be someone.
Threw the red carpet
I was
on
the first one to ever sleep, and I talked to them like that. So when I lectured at all them places, I tell them, I'm the first black person to ever crease one of these sheets. Ain't no black people. I would wear their butts out with the Quran and stuff in the big fabulous mosque wherever they would let me speak. And I'll show you just a couple of clippings where I cut them to pieces at Juma prayer. And the blacks would all flock to me, the little blacks that would come around. And I'd go into Soweto, all the blacks, and get with them. And at that time, I wish I could get back in there. I was with Wallace, but talking to Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They wanted the Messenger's program. Allah is my witness.
That's right.
They said, we want his program. We like what he taught. And I was
That's so true.
Way in South.
I'm supposed to go back. Never got back in there. But I mean, I used to cry the way they treated. I'm not
They
lying.
blocked it when they saw you made the change completely. Somebody went in there and tried to block it. I know that for a fact because I went to Saudi Arabia the next year, and I had heard the minister's name all the way in Saudi Arabia about when he was there and how the red carpet was thrown out and the different things. And I mean, it went all the way to Saudi Arabia from the Indians that were making Hajj that year. And the same thing was even in Saudi Arabia. I went to one Arab's palace, and he said, "Oh, excuse the house, my servants are in the Sudan right now." And you know the Sudan is black as we are.
They call our brothers and sisters, the Muslims, call them girl and boy.
That's right.
Damn, I would want to fight. I said, why you call him a boy? He's older than you. You're a Muslim, and you call him a boy? He's 40 years old, and you 25 or 26? They said, well, we don't mean anything. You know, they call a sister wash the dishes and clean up the old nasty house. They call her girl, my boy. They were Muslims. I mean, I saw this in every country I went to. Saudi Arabia.
White Arabs or
White Arabs. Some of these were Asian
Some of
Arabs.
them Asians.
Then in
Indians
Mecca,
are
you
black
got the
people.
white Arabs
Black.
and you got the white Arabs in Mecca.
Right.
Man, they terrible. They real elitists. They drive Mercedes Benz and wear they silk thobes and they be clean. Real, they real arrogant. And if they think they eat cheese if they find out you a nigger from America. And doctor and all that, they eat cheese. But when they don't know where you from, they think you just a nigger from Africa. And if you from Africa in Mecca, you ain't worth nothing. They search the Nigerians like dogs in Mecca. They don't search nobody but the Nigerians. Nigerians bring the biggest delegation to Mecca. They bring 65,000, 70,000 at a time, and every one of them gets searched.
That's right. They stop. Matter of fact, they
Put them all up against the wall and search them in the airport because they say that the Nigerians bring different roots and bring different foods in that they don't want there. But they don't search nobody but us. And they throw the old sisters around. I almost got in so many fights grabbing Arabs, throwing them against the wall. I can't communicate with the sister, elder sister, and they grab her and throw her all around and snatch on our people. And I go up and snatch the sister away from her. They cold-blooded.
They be rounding up.
That's in Mecca.
That's right. During the Hajj time, they actually round up those that come from Nigeria and stuff because they stopped the car I was in and was taking it for a minute. And I said, "Hold on, what's going on around?" So as soon as they heard me talk, they knew that I wasn't one of them.
They said America.
He said America, and then the other one through this thing. He said something about something they went on through. He said, "Oh, they thought for a minute that you were one of the Nigerian. They come to our country and they put burden on our country because they don't have any money and they want everything from this way." He's trying to explain it to me, and he wanted everything free and everything, and they try to live here. They don't have passport, so we send them back out to the country when their passport is due. Let's go, then no problem. You know, that's what they're talking about.
Brother Minister, isn't this just like with the Arabs? We know the majority of them is white, Caucasian, or they're leaning so far in that direction, they're on that side of the fence anyway. Don't we find the same thing with like Christians in effect that what they did with what Jesus taught? You know, we teach that Jesus brought what he brought was true and right until the wicked nature of the people took it, misused it, and exploited it.
Correct.
And it's the same way. Like since we're viewing the Quran right now with the understanding of the purity of it, how it is condoning some things and it's condemning other things.
Didn't Prophet Muhammad have some slaves?
So did
Well, this is
The
what.
Holy Prophet himself had slaves.
But this is what.
And he didn't free all of his. And the revelation that you read came through him.
Well, even the Quran said that the prophet had some sublime morals, but Allah would be the judge of the prophet.
Sublime means the highest.
Not that, but I mean, in relationship, this came up with him and Zainab. When he married her from Zed, he received a revelation that, was talking about certain morals that he had, or certain characteristics about himself. But Allah...
It's different altogether.
That's misinterpreted. Not so much by you, but by whoever dealt with it. I'm telling you, that's the heart of one. I've sat with the minister on that very controversial scripture and how they would come at the messenger on a particular wife that the messenger had that ended up married to a particular minister that we know.
But the reason why
I told you about it.
reason why I'm having I'm dealing or wrestling with this particular issue is from the aspect that, like what the Muslim said, that the scripture, the Holy Quran, is from Allah. So if we say that the Quran condones slavery, then we're saying Allah condones slavery. And then on the same aspect, we say that Allah has come now to abolish slavery, and you still have, the contradictory thing rather than...
I don't know about that. I just know that we read things that condone slavery.
This is where...
Didn't we?
Right, but you see, the reason why I said it'll bring up later on when you...
See, the messenger, I heard the minister say that the messenger was kind to the Arabs until a certain time. This exact quote he said the messenger made. He said the messenger said, not only, brother, we have to turn our guns south, meaning to South Africa. He said, but one day we will have to turn our guns north, where the Arabs have taken over all of northern Africa. He said, but we don't fight two battles, brother, on this, but two battles on two different fronts at the same time. So he was just, in order to bring us up out of Christianity, he left them alone. He didn't say nothing about it. He kept them away from us, wouldn't let them come to us, and wouldn't let us go to them. He let one or two come around every now and then, but he didn't let them mix and just come in our meetings and didn't let us go to them. And he kept us all from going to Mecca.
That's right.
He only let one or two go to Mecca. He didn't let us go.
Was Mecca.
You couldn't go to just Mecca on your own.
That's right.
He didn't want you to go there and become disillusioned before he could get you up to a certain point.
That's
So
right.
he banned all trips to Mecca.
Sure did.
Malcolm went in 59. Malcolm went to Saudi Arabia, but he didn't go into Mecca. He went into Jeddah and different other areas, Riyadh and Taif. But Malcolm said he didn't want to go into Mecca before the messenger, because nobody in the nation had been in. And he wanted the messenger to be the first to go. So he waited until the messenger went. Then he broke with the messenger when he went back for the second time. That's why when they come up with Malcolm saw white people in Mecca, he didn't know that. In the 60s, Malcolm had been to Mecca in 1959. Tell you that in the autobiography.
Sure did.
But anyway, we don't want to get hung here. We got those major scriptures and those major points. Remember, we're going to start debating a little later. And when we start the debating teams, we got to be able to take both sides.
I want to add another one verse in the Holy Quran, Surah 4, chapter 74 through 77, where it speaks about that how we shall fight, when we fight in the cause of God, and fighting in the cause of God, we must fight against those who are weak, ill-treated, and the oppressed. And the slaves are those who are oppressed. So this is speaking out against slavery.
Well, no ma'am. According to the Quran, you could have slaves and not oppress them. Just treat them right. But we need that scripture for something else. What's that scripture?
Surah 4,
Fighting for the oppressed.
verses 74 through 77.
474 through 77. Fighting for the oppressed. Fighting for the oppressed. But the Quran says just don't mistreat them. All right, what's our next point for tonight?
Our next one.
Next point that we have.
Name of the camel of the prophet.
Oh, anybody get that? Anybody get it? We'll see it in the movie. I can't really pronounce it. His name was Cosmo or something like that. He was a white camel. Cosmo. That's right. He was a white camel.
K-U.
Yeah, I think it's K-A-S-U-M.
Awesome.
White camel.
Used to ran like a Mercedes.
They say he was bad.
That was their transportation.
That's right. He's top of the line, as the car salesman would say. He was top of the line.
What are some scriptures that point out, like, what was able to, how were we able to be treated in slavery? And what were the certain conditions?
Most of that's in Sahih Bukhari, Hadith and stuff.
Yeah, where he says things about.
That's what I just.
Well, I got some sayings of Muhammad.
Yeah. Get some hadiths in there.
How you getting out to the plate? Brother Lieutenant, could you let me have a little bit of that, please? No, sir. She gave you some, brother. It said that you. She gave you some. She gave you, Brother Ron. She gave you a couple dealing with the female. How you have to treat them,
Right.
just like you would a free woman. You have to treat her that way. But she's still owned by her master. Then we were dealing with whether the master was going to let her go or not.
Oh, it was something else I wanted to point out. Comparing that time with today's time. As far as what does a ring and all that stuff symbolize when you take up marriage? Is that like purchasing a woman?
No, sir. Now, purchasing a woman, remember, that's not marriage. The Quran said, wow, we didn't get that. Purchasing a woman meant if she was a slave and you wanted to marry her and somebody owned her, you got to buy her from the man who owned her. That's all that was talking about. But when we said a dowry has nothing to do with a slave. A dowry is any sister you marry. For instance, Brother James married Sister Richard Dean. If they weren't married and they were getting ready to get married, he has to prepare a dowry for her. It could be, as he said, it could be a life policy, insurance policy, with high premium and everything. So that in the event that something should happen to him, she's secure, the family is secure, the house was maybe covered in it, and she don't have to worry about no notes. She got the house forever, cars covered, she's secure. Or it could be, you may give her, when I married Sister Mahassan, I gave her in a little gold box, I gave her $1,000. That was her dowry. Holy Quran said that that's theirs, and do with it as they want to. They can share it with you, give it right back to you. Or they don't have to give a dime.
Okay, then.
Or you want to give her a diamond ring or a gold ring, that's a dowry. You give her that. But in Islam, I did both. I gave her a ring, and she gave me this ring, and then I gave her a dowry. But the ring could suffice as a dowry. And some scholars say that, but most say that generally you do both. And if you don't have any riches or anything of great material value, then it can be something else. Some say you can share certain wisdom with her, or certain knowledge of Scripture or the Quran. But most brothers try to give something that will help secure his wife. That's another thing. I got to tell you about them crooked Saudis. And some crooked dogs. Now, brother, they sell women. One of the biggest businesses in Saudi Arabia is selling women. What do I mean? Who sells them? Their daddies sell them.
That's right.
Their daddies sell them. How do I mean
still
sell them?
stealing women.
I mean, they use the dowry as buying his daughter. You want to marry my daughter in Saudi Arabia? You got to be. They have a set amount among them. It ain't got nothing to do with the Quran. They made an agreement. I talked to brothers who go to school there, who from here. I stayed there a long time, went all over, and then went back 3 times. Egypt 4 times, but there 3 times. They actually, the daddies say, you want to marry my daughter, then you got to come up with so many reals. That's the currency. Over there, instead of dollar, they call it real. You got to have so many reals.
I'm going to bring some next week.
Yes, sir. You can bring a real. So many reals. I mean, they have a set amount. So the average brother over there, the average Arab over there, many of them turn homosexual.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
the biggest faggots you ever seen.
Hold
They
that
go around
throw,
feeling on each other on the streets of
throw it
Mecca,
like that.
grabbing
Brother,
on each other. I mean,
That's right.
that's why ain't
They
nobody
tell the
fit
truth.
guide for us.
Brother is right.
Gospel
You're
truth.
right. You know, but brother,
They hold that
I've read 2
throne up
books,
like that.
3 really. One, Something of Value, goes into the Mau Mau, and then they talk about the Asians and the Indians, and the first one they kill. Then there's Caravans, written by James A. Michener. A lot of these books of white men write, he put so much truth in them. So if you ever read that book, the invasion of Afghanistan would be nothing to you because you'd understand it. And then they talk about the young men that go in trucks from different camps and stuff out there, sell themselves just like women would, follow the men's in the caravan, young men. But yet and still they would cut off your left hand, cut off your right hand for doing something wrong. Therefore, you would starve to death because you could not eat with your left hand.
That's first.
All the power and political power of the mullahs. And he went into all of that. Then there's another one called The Coup, which was written by a supposedly farcical nation in Africa, Kush, that they spell it C-U-S-H. And it even mentions
Sudan.
It even mentions the messenger, and it mentions one brother who was trying to be a Muslim, all that kind of stuff. But and they talk about all
Kush.
that kind of stuff.
Kush. That's Egypt.
It's Egypt. It was the old Egypt.
Right.
Old Egypt.
And the reason why
Before we were pushed out.
and when the reason why they cut off the right hand is because the Arabs do everything nasty with the left hand.
That's right. They
They don't
take
use
that
no toilet
left and
paper.
right
They
hand
just splash some water.
literal.
Yeah, anything you're supposed to do, if you're going to urinate, you
Left
right,
hand.
left hand, all that kind of stuff. You're going to dig in your nose, you dig with your left.
Right.
You have to make it that simple. So these fathers make the men who want to marry, the young men who want to marry their daughters, come up with big buck. If you ain't got the buck, he said, you can't marry my daughter. So many men are eligible for marriage, but they don't have the money to pay their daddy, these women's daddies, to marry them. So they turn faggot. It ain't just because of the strict law and you can't get to a woman. They turn faggot. I mean, you can get to a woman. They take them women and they take the women around from camps and stuff and turn them loose and sell the women. And they got King Khalid and all of them. I mean, they just as corrupt as they could be. The Holy Prophet Muhammad said 3 generations after him would not be of him.
That's right.
Brother was hitting on that a few minutes ago. And Jesus said, there will be those who will lift me up with their mouths, but in their hearts they will be far removed from me. That's 2 classic scriptures that everybody should write. One that you can use on the Muslims and one you can use on the Christians.
Which one is that?
Prophet Muhammad said 3 generations.
In the Hadith, it says, Prophet Muhammad says in the Hadith, the sayings of Prophet Muhammad. In the Hadith, it said, Prophet Muhammad says, 3 generations after me will not be of me. So here we are, 1,400 years after him now. How close are they to him? He said 3 generations after him wouldn't be of him.
How about the scripture?
That's in Sahih too, so they can't argue with that.
Brother Minister, is that
We can find that one in the Bible. The one Jesus said, they will lift me up with their mouths, but in their hearts they will be far removed from me.
Isn't there somewhere in the Quran where
Write the quote and then look it up when you get home.
it refers
They will
to,
lift me up with their mouths, but in their hearts they will be far removed from me.
it refers to in the Quran about the diary also? In certain instances in the divorce of the man and the woman that the diary has to be returned.
Divorce?
guess if the woman was totally unfaithful or committed adultery or something. I think it was the adultery.
It also states that,
It was part of the diary, wasn't it?
Right. I mean, but that was the only act that she had to commit for the diary to be returned. Was the act of adultery.
Well, that's hard in America. Shoot, you give a sister $1,000 and something don't happen for another month, 2 weeks, she done spent $1,000. So you don't get nothing back. But some receipts from her shopping.
Even if it happened 3 or 4 years later, and you got the divorce, and that was the cause of divorce, wouldn't she have to still come up with the money?
No, sir.
I don't know that to be true.
Because the Aquinas teachers tell you, whatever you give as a dog,
Come on now.
you're supposed to give that, freely. Your marriage is not based upon whether or not the sister act the way you want her to act.
No, that's unfair. That was a chastisement for the sister in committing that one
It's
act.
so strict about that dowry, and you're not asking for it back. It's got to be a strict situation. Let's don't get hung up there. Okay. Another point I want to cover. I told y'all about the eunuchs, right?
Yes, sir.
Right.
And who remembers?
I do.
The eunuchs in Medina Temple.
They said that
Dreamed about them for 2 weeks.
Yes, sir.
2 weeks, I don't know how long. I dreamed about them for a long time. Eunuchs from Ethiopia. They had a thing against Ethiopia. A eunuch is one that they castrate. E-N-U-C-H.
White woman
You
wrote
know,
a
in the
book called
Bible. Eunuch.
Female Eunuch.
It means that they cut their sex organs off.
That's what that means?
Eunuchs.
Castrate.
The eunuchs are the janitors around the mosque in Medina. The Prophet's mosque in Medina. They clean up and caretake the mosque. And they say the reason they cut each one of their sex organs off is because they would mess with the concubines and the harem of the Arabs. They could be around to attend the women, and they wouldn't have to worry about them getting into nothing with the women, since they would be left with the women.
Oh, that's true.
So they took our brothers. It's a whole bunch of them. Every one of them have a funny kind of face. This having their sex organs taken off makes all of them take on a certain resemblance. I mean, their heads sink in. No matter how young they are, they look a certain age. No matter how old they are, they look a certain... I mean, it hurt me. I met young ones who look young. Then I met old men who they have to help in, and they sit around. They just is faithful to that damn religion. I mean, they faithful to them Arabs. And every one of them look like they hate women. They grab women, and women come in and go on the side where the men, when it's time to pray, the mosque fills up and the streets fill up in Medina and Mecca. So they have sections for the women, so a man won't be right behind a woman when she bends over on the floor and all that kind of stuff. So women go off in them wrong sections and stuff. Well, them eunuchs, they so hateful. You can understand. So they grab women and just take them and throw them violently. And I'm ignorant, don't know what's going on. Kept seeing these cats grab these women and throw them around. So I grabbed one of them and threw him up against the wall. I couldn't talk to him. I said, "Man, what you doing? This is a Muslim." So I'm trying to talk to him, and he looking at me like, "What you doing, fool?" And everybody looking at me. So I got into it again that evening with him. And somebody spoke English, put me to the side and said, "Oh,
They arrested you in
I
Medina.
don't care who they are. They don't do no Muslim sister like that." I still got the Elijah Muhammad in me, even though I'm with Wallace and trying to be an Arab and all of that. And I said, "They don't do no Muslim sister like that." Some of the women were white, but I'm Muslim, everybody's a Muslim to me then. And but that's the way they did our brothers.
They took me to jail in Medina.
Is that right, Jim?
Tell them.
How did you do that?
I was taking pictures of the Prophet's mosque in Medina.
Yeah,
And that's
you're
against the
supposed to
law.
take
And
pictures.
Arabs kept coming up to me and looking at me. I said, move out the way. Come on. Get out of the picture. I'm trying to get another snapshot.
He was from Nigeria.
All of a sudden the police came and he said, la. And then the city was saying, no. And I I said, oh, come on, all of you get in the picture. And they carried me. And they said, no, you go with me. They took me to some jail, and I started looking at all these guns and everything around. I said, oh, I did something.
A lot of my witnesses, my husband and bear me witness. We had a fight. If you see her before I see her, you can ask her tonight. She'll tell you I'm telling the truth. We had a fight in Jeddah. That's where the airport is, the Method. We had a fight with them Arabs. She busted an Arab upside the head with a stool, beat another Arab with a mop stick. We were duking. A whole bunch of Arabs. Police and stuff. They had told us that we had been there all evening she had taken sick in Mecca. And we trying to get her out of there. And we had to catch her. Lufthansa, a German airline, to get to Europe and we had been there, had our stuff set and everything, and we had been there for hours and gone around and ate and did different things, killing time for about 6 or 7 hours. We came back and they told us that the plane they held us up there at the gate for an hour, fooling around with us and fumbling. They so backward over there. Then after we got through all of that madness and finally got up to the gate, some more fools told us that we had missed the plane. Told us we had missed the plane. We really didn't, but they told us we had missed the plane. So we went back to the other gate that held us for an hour and started arguing with them, and they got crazy with us. And I don't know how it really started, but then the fight started. This fight started, and then 2 Arabs ran up behind me to grab me in my house and bust one upside the head with a stool. Bow! He let me go. We started duking down the conveyor belt at the airport. Then another Arab ran behind me to grab me, and she popped in with the broom. She would fight. We were duking. I had a good fighting partner. That's right. We tore up the airport. I mean, we fought. It was a good fight for a good while. A whole bunch of them and us. Just me and her. Then after all the fighting, somebody who spoke English came and said, somebody else who spoke English came, said we hadn't missed the air, we hadn't missed the flight. That everybody, Lufthansa has strict rules because they always used to get hijacked. So everybody was outside on the runway. All your luggage don't go to a belt and they put it on the plane. You have to stand by your luggage out on the ground next to the airplane. And they go through all your luggage on the ground. Once it clears, then you get your luggage and they put it on the airplane. Then you can get on the airplane. All that was going on, and they had told us that we had missed the plane. But anyway, I wanted to say that about the eunuchs. I wanted to say that about Arab fathers demanding high dowries before their daughters can get married, and the ghettos or the dots or the reservations in Mecca where black people live and all of that. What else now?
Can I ask a question? Yeah. What pictures, where can you take pictures?
You can get permission.
I
got all kind of stuff, man.
Can you take
Yeah, I got pictures afterwards.
You know what I got? Very few people got. I got myself going around the Kaaba, moving. See, it was in the group I went with, it was all white folks and Asians and 3 niggas. Me, a brother from New Jersey, and a brother from New York. The 3 of us. And we stayed together. We were crazy. We ran everything everywhere we went. So we went in and put our prayer rug over our head around the Kaaba. And I got them going around the Kaaba. Then I went around the Kaaba. He put the prayer rug over his head, and he took me going around the Kaaba. Show me going right around the Kaaba. You see me with all the drove of people going around, me going around.
You don't get
that. Then we took some other pictures. We did what we wanted to do. Because if any other people, they let them, if they just let certain white dignitaries and others, they can do what they want to do. If Muslims. But anybody else, you got to go and get special permission and get a permit. You want to go into all of the symbols. The well of Zamzam or the well of Zimzam. Right there. Its significance, its higher meaning. The Kaaba, 3 Satans, three white pillars that are called Satan, that you throw stones at. 49 stones in a little town called Mina, M-I-N-A. What is the significance of the 3 white pillars that are called the 3 Shaitans in Mina? The significance of Mount Arafat, A-R-A-F-A-T. This is the site where Prophet Muhammad also made his last khutbah, or his last sermon. We want to know what he said at that last sermon at Mount Arafat, because we're going to get the movie. Sister Lieutenant has already put in for it. The movie Muhammad, Messenger of God. And when Muhammad made it, we want to know all about the movie when we get it, and we want to know about that last sermon he made. We're going to run the movie on that. Then we're going to run that section of the movie where the messenger at Savior's Day 74 delivered his last sermon, and see what parallels can be drawn between the 2 men and what they said to their followers the last times they were with them. The last time they were with them. We won't be able to do that next week. We won't have most of the film, but we will know all about it next week. So when we get the film, it'll be like, good visualization. I think that should be enough to hold them to. I would like tomorrow night for Brother Lester to open up in prayer and welcome welcome everyone to the temple meeting and make them comfortable, at ease, and to bring on Sister Lieutenant Richardine to bear witness, as a witness bearer, teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. When we were in Chicago at the Laborers, when you in Chicago at the Laborers meeting, and the minister had one sister or 2 sisters? One sister. 2 sisters. Sister Tainetta Muhammad spoke, and Sister Christine. I'd like for you to speak tomorrow night, if you will. I'm going to start putting you out there almost every meeting, so you get stronger and stronger and stronger. Now Lester's getting strong, because I just kicked him out there. He didn't want to go. I pushed him out there. No, he's bad. I mean, he just shows off.
I think he's going to lose his voice in there.
Brother Minister Grady asked when I came back with Sister, who is that minister in there? That's one of Muhammad's old ministers talking there. I said,
that's what the sister said?
That's what I said.
Oh,
It sounded like the brother minister, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
He knocked me out. He said, you used to sing.
Fire was jumping out that building.
You used to sing. I mean, he said, you singing these songs now. He named the song you singing. He said, what happened to the songs of the 60s? Keep on pushing. We moving on up. Save the children. Out of sight. Out of sight.
Singing in the 60s, moving
Liberation.
I got it.
He was blowing. So I want you to blow, Sister Lieutenant. They've got to know that women have a role in this thing.
That was one of the questions and points that was brought up by the sister I was speaking to Sunday. You wanted to introduce her formally, the tall
Sister
sister.
Sada Umoja.
Right. She appreciates the teaching, but she feels that every time she goes to listen to the minister, yourself, or anyone representing the nation, it appears that we push our men out front, and it appears to her that the women are just secondary in the movement.
Okay, then you have to,
That's what
all
I
of you,
want.
I've got it.
all of you
I've got it.
women
I've got
have to
it.
be able to defend the wisdom of the messenger in that. The messenger is trying to make a man for the black woman. No black woman likes to be out front all the time and no man always hanging behind her. We used to sell papers. Muhammad speaks and we go to some doors and the brother, he say, I can't get that. He say, my wife, she handles all of that. I'm not lying. They say, I say, brother, it ain't but a quarter. It's a quarter, man. 25 cents. But my wife, she handles all of that. I mean, she'll be home at such and such a time. I say, yes, sir. I went jamming. I said, okay, brother, thank you.
I read just today that said that.
But let me finish this point. So the point is, the black man in slavery, he was completely castrated as a man, physically, mentally, and spiritually, and reduced to nothing before the black woman's eyes. And she would have to do things to carry him and her on the plantation and get him, try to do things with the master to get him out of predicaments because he had just been broken as a man. And the reason the enemy breaks the man is because he knows that's his formidable enemy. That's the one who is to make war against him and to challenge his rule. So he breaks the man who is the hedge around the woman and the children, the nation. He destroys him and keeps him down and crushes him so that his enemy, his formidable enemy, cannot seize power again and get back in control. So he keeps the man down. So he destroyed him so much until the black woman could not look up to him and respect him anymore. Then after the plantation, the black man was so crushed during slavery and he couldn't get a job. Sister could get a job when the black man couldn't and still can.
That's right.
They had a saying in this country, the only one free is the white man and the black woman. Because he kept the white woman back. Now she's raising a woman's liberation. When she said, hell, you ain't holding me. She's realized that and she's coming out. Now she's one of the signs of his demise and destruction. His woman is being used to help bring him down, another enemy of his. Now, so the messenger, in his wisdom, pushed the black man out there. Ready or not, just kick him on out there. Say, you the head of the house. He can't run nothing. Don't know nothing. The messengers push him, get on out there. And whisper to the sister and say, help him, he's going to stumble a little bit, but help him, keep him out there. Every time he look like he's trying to lay down, encourage him. Push him on out there. Why? Because he's trying to make a man. The woman can't keep getting further and further and further, and he's getting lower and lower and lower and further back. So the messenger wisely recognizes that the average woman is smarter than the average man. The average black woman is smarter than the average black man, and she's had more education and more opportunity and more everything else. So the messenger whispers to her and says that you don't have to fall behind. You continue to grow, but you push him on out there and we used to have women sister ministers. The ministers say, the messengers say the sister ministers used to burn it up. They used to tatter meetings up. And they would teach so strong and just fire down on the men until the men would the man have to stand up when she get through with him. But the messenger said after a while, it was like further castration of the man. How you going to sit there and this woman is saying he's the devil, and you sitting there scared of the white man? Your first time at the meeting or second time, you ain't made up your mind, and these women teaching and firing down. And so the messenger pulled the women back and whispered to her when he pulled her back and pushed him out front to make him strong. Like I'm telling you now, we want you to teach more. That's to make you strong. So he pushed the man out front to make him strong. That's all. But the messenger said his exact word, that he wants sisters doing everything that is comparable to her nature, that's not demeaning to her in any way. He said he envisions in our nation sisters flying planes, sisters running the farms, managing. She may not necessarily get out on the tractor, and she may, but she will manage it. But the sisters ran most of the schools we had. The sisters ran them, the university. They ran many of the businesses we had. They were the business managers in many instances. We had sisters that were ambassadors that would go into Africa making trips for the messenger, going to South America, Mexico making trips for the messenger. But he didn't publicize it a lot because he was trying to get that man out there and make him get a little, get a little muscle and feel confident in himself. So that's why it appears that way, because he's trying to make a nation strong, and by making both elements and components of the nation strong. So they've got to understand that it is not to crush the black woman. The Holy Quran says that the man and woman are twin halves of the same essence. And that's the basis of that. That's the main argument against that. But I want to push sisters in certain roles so that we can develop some strong spokeswomen who can handle these colleges and universities and women's conferences and speak to these sororities. You go and speak to Delta Sigma Theta sorority, Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. Sorority is for women, fraternities are for men. Zeta Phi Beta sorority, Sigma Gamma Rho sorority. Whatever it is, we want to have sisters that can go and represent us. The only way to do it is push them out there, let them get strong. That's it. See, a sister Asada, she's coming along. She was even tougher than that at first. I've been working on her, getting her to come. She's real. I saw it at Booker T. Washington. Was it Booker T. George Washington? George Washington. Yeah, high school you went to. She was tough. She likes that. She has a good warrior spirit. Well, any sister who's going to be sister captain and all that, you got to have tough sister captain. And if you're sister captain, you got to have some tough lieutenants, some that have finesse and charm and they're diplomatic and they finesse. Then you got to have some that got all of that, but who will kick some behind and grab somebody by their head and take them and throw them out on the sidewalk. You got to have all that in the sisterhood, just like in the brotherhood. A sister like Sister Asada, you reel her in delicately. You lean in favor of some of the things she believes in because there's a place for that.
She was talking liberation to me, and I told her, okay, next time I see you, I want you to write down everything you think you need to be liberated for. She said, okay, I'll do that. So I'm going to go with that.
See, with her, you got to talk her talk. She's a revolutionary kind of militaristic kind of mind. So you want to nurture that and nourish it and keep it intact. And show her where she also needs something else to go with that, but don't lose that. And in order to do that, you got to talk some of her language. You got to show her some of that spirit and that the nation has that and how powerful a woman's role is. We couldn't ignore a whole segment of our population and beat this devil. We're going to just ignore all the women. We can just handle this by ourselves. Okay, that will do it for tonight. I think we had a good one. Oh, we're going to be the toughest in the country. Don't nobody else have a minister's class going now. We also, I hate to add it, but maybe I should, the first 5 chapters of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
That's part of Sunday?
Yes. When you going to be ready, Brother Bill?
Teach. Well, I've been going teaching out loud to myself. It's been a good while. I've begun to teach out loud to myself. How to, what's the name of it? How to really put it in influence people. How to be a dictator. What else we have to do?
Brothers and sisters, can we stand and close in prayer? Jerome, you can close for us. Let me close.
Yes, sir, brother.
I want to add this. Well, let Brother Brother Curtis close. Do it the regular closing prayer. And then when we do our bear witness on the messenger, we'll do that last part. this is the way we're going to start doing this. We're going to get it typed up for everybody.
Position of prayer.
Okay, let me say this. We really don't have to say that with a group like this. We all are on a certain level and we're studying and we're not new. So we automatically are going to do that.
In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, all praises are due to Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we serve, and Thee alone do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those whom Thou hast bestowed Thy favor, not the path of those whom wrath was brought down upon, nor those who go astray after they have heard Thy teaching. Say He, Allah, is one, and He is whom nothing is independent but whom we all depend upon. He begots not, nor is He begotten, there is none like Him. I bear witness that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is Thy true servant and last apostle. Amen.
Amen. We all still say, you say both. Go ahead that you say, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. We don't just start with the messages. We start with, I bear witness there is no God but Allah became the person that's where I bear witness on this and I'll be like Muhammad. And then, oh Allah, so-and-so, mention what's wrong. But we're going to write it, get it typed up. That's beautiful. That's going to be the standard. You see what we do? We're the pace setters. We started, for the whole nation, we started including the minister in the greeting and the salutation. It's proper. It's to be done. But nobody had the nerve to do it. And we've done it. And that's started. This is the way we're going to submit this to be acceptable as prayer. This is beautiful. Brother Secretary sent a plan to the minister. He's still talking about it. A plan for economic savings. Did you see it?
Our brother Secretary?
Yes, sir.
He said. Okay, what's the other one? Still, man is still and go. Man is still and go.
Have you been able to find it, brother? Will? Been able to find that book?
When I looked for it, the boat is I couldn't remember the title. I mixed it all up, so it was nailed. That's why I
That's right.